Hello and welcome to the Opposites Abroad podcast, a podcast about all things travel. Charlie Bosco here with TT as ever down in Denver. TT, how's spring in Denver? Has spring sprung?
No, not totally, but it's getting closer.
Yeah, I gotta say it's pretty nice up here. Sit out during have lunch outside, warm days. I'm just looking forward to a long summer with lots of jumping in lakes and drinking beers.
Yeah, in Denver, our biggest snowstorms are in March. That's when our huge blizzards are. So, but then it's warm, and then a blizzard, and then it's warm. So, I'm gone traveling for some of this month. So hopefully, I miss any big snowstorm.
Yeah, fingers crossed for your timing. Well, today we're talking about packing, and you just said to me, "I'm really excited for this one." You love packing, eh?
I do love packing. I get super excited. But first, I was going to say, you and I were texting a little bit last night. So in one of our previous podcasts, you had talked about being a guide, and you had talked about using candles on some expedition trips. And I got a question actually on Instagram about why you would use candles and not flashlights or some sort of electric lights. And I thought your answer was interesting, but I thought maybe this would be a good time for you to answer that. So if anyone else had that question, they could hear
Yeah,
it.
sure. We were texting about this last night. Yeah, use candles because they can't break. They're completely reliable, and you know how long is left on them. So you're not suddenly going to go, oh no, we've got no light. So yeah, they're light, they're unbreakable, they always work, and if you're going to run out, you know you're going to run out, and you can start rationing, which when you've got batteries, especially in a cold environment, batteries are really bad in the cold. So
that's true.
Flashlights just aren't quite as suitable for that environment. But it's like, it's like using a pencil in space instead of inventing some new kind of pen. Sometimes the simple gear is the best.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a good segue into this episode of packing, because there's certain things that I pack because I know they're robust and I don't have to deal with it. So I think candles versus flashlight is a really interesting thing. But as you said, I love packing. I keep notes in my phone of all my upcoming trips, which are usually considerable, and I have a packing list for each one. And I have a spare room in my house, and I always have a carry-on or two open, packing for my next trips. Then I put stuff in it and organize, and I don't know why I love it so much, but I absolutely love packing. And this is an episode when we first started that I was like, I want to do an episode on packing, and I would assume we're going to have more on more of these kind of episodes, because I think it's such a fascinating thing. And no matter how often I travel, I almost every single trip come back with a lesson learned about packing.
Oh, 100%. I think if we were going to philosophize a little bit as well, I would say that packing kind of extends the trip in a way, because the anticipation is enjoyable. And that's why I don't like I think people that live on the road stop enjoying their travel as much, because actually getting back from a trip and going for a walk for the next few days, in your head you're kind of unpacking the trip and digesting it and thinking about it, and that's also part of the pleasure. So I think packing is a way of making the trip last a little bit longer psychologically, and getting a little bit more out of it.
Well, I love unpacking too. I feel I love going and doing my laundry. I love doing my laundry because it's like I'm tired of my dirty clothes. I like seeing whatever souvenirs I bought and giving them to my friends, or putting them in my house or whatever. I really enjoy that too.
I don't mind unpacking. I probably draw the line out, but I'm not a big souvenir buyer. I literally can't remember the last time I bought a souvenir, so maybe I should start.
You don't buy anything?
No.
I always buy a magnet, and my fridge is just covered in magnets from all over the world.
Yeah, and actually your fridge is super cool. I remember getting a beer out of your fridge, and it is covered in magnets. It's really cool.
It's covered in magnets. Yeah, and the nice thing about magnets is they're cheap. They don't really break, and they don't take up any space. And if you're out and about doing stuff for the day and you buy a magnet, you just put it in your pocket and put it in your little bag. And you don't have to lug it around. And then you're not adding to all the clutter of your house by buying just a bunch of crap.
Yeah, that's true. I used to work with a guy who told we used to work on events, so we'd be away, I don't know, 12, 15 times a year. We'd go on a trip, and he bought his girlfriend a little memento everywhere he went. And I just thought, well, there's two glaring problems with that. Firstly, you've got to go and buy this memento, and if you're in some crap Chinese city in the middle of nowhere, what the hell are you going to buy her? And secondly, you just fill in your house with 15 items a year of just crap. So
yeah, I like consumables. So if I'm not buying a magnet or I'm giving a gift, I like something like coffee or socks or something that is actually going to be used and used up and just doesn't add to like a million little knickknacks. Some knickknacks are cool when you travel and you're like, oh, I've always wanted, like when I went to Fiji, I got a cannibal fork because that's like a cool thing that my cat later knocked off the shelf and broke. And it was, but just buying a bunch of just junk is, you go to these stores and then later you're like, why did I buy all this stuff? What am I ever going to do with it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you're in Russia, the temptation to buy those dolls that are full of smaller dolls is overwhelming, and then you realize that actually there's really no point doing that. But I have to say, actually, I do occasionally buy consumables. I'm with you, some particular food or something. But about the only really good souvenir I got, I think you might have seen it. It's in the spare room now. So when you stayed at our place, you might have seen it. I got a wooden picture of Putin holding up a baby, and the baby's got Trump's face.
I don't think you had that when I was there.
That's the only. It's about the only souvenir I can remember buying. But yeah, maybe I should do the magnet thing. I've got some magnets and I really like them. Maybe I should buy more.
Yeah, put them up. Yeah, get some use out of them.
All right, so packing. We've established you love packing and unpacking. I like packing. Can't stretch to unpacking, but what's your process? It sounds like we're both list makers. I don't have one for each trip, but I have a generic packing list of if nothing else, you remember these items.
So yeah, and I think this episode is gonna be interesting because it touches on a few different things, and I actually just while we're here talking, it makes me think of other ones we could do down the road, especially if people were interested. We could do one on basically clothes when you travel, souvenir buying, good shoes for travel. There's so many ways to branch off, so we'll try to keep somewhat on topic so we're not just like going off in a million different directions. But my first thing I figure out is what bag I'm going to bring or what bags I'm going to bring. So the first thing, I think you and I are opposite in some ways and we have different in some ways, but I think you and I are both similar because we've traveled so much that we pack very light. I never ever check bags. I will never ever check bags. Now, it'd be different if I have, like, I know with your job, you need a bunch of equipment and stuff sometimes. But for, like, a normal trip, I will never, ever check a bag. I want all my stuff right next to me. I don't want to wait in line to check my bag. I don't want to wait for it to get off the carousel. I don't want it to get lost. I tend to have really nice things. And you almost never, ever meet someone who's extremely well-traveled that checks bags. I mean, literally almost never.
I agree with that, yeah. I struggle to remember the last time I checked a bag when it was just me traveling on my own. I mean, on airlines now, it can be $50 each way or $50 each flight. Like if you change and you have 2 flights each way, you could be looking at $200 on your trip just to have a bag.
And it can save you a massive amounts of time when you get off the plane.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like an hour.
If I'm with someone who's checked a bag, my patience is just...
Oh, it just
drives me crazy. You're just waiting for this bag and you think, I have everything I need on my back. Why are we waiting? And it can be an hour. I've waited an hour multiple times. Well,
and then it's not only waiting for the bag. Sometimes instead of walking out and grabbing a taxi or an Uber when there's nobody waiting for it, then 300 people from the plane have all got their bags and now they're all trying to get that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like you just walk off, get on your train or Uber or whatever it is and get to your hotel. And I bet you there's many, many times when I'm at the hotel while people are still standing there waiting for their bags.
Yeah, 100%. I used to live in Innsbruck, Austria, which, if people have been there, has possibly the best airport in the world. It's tiny. It's right underneath the mountains. It's absolutely beautiful. And my record, I always used to do this. This is sad. It's a sad reflection on me. but I always used to try and break my record from plane, so I had to be touching the plane to in my car, and my record was 47 seconds.
Wow.
Because it's a tiny little airport, and if it was a domestic flight from Vienna, no passport control, never had a bag. You literally just walk across the tarmac, straight through the machine, through the terminal, and pull my car keys out, and I'm gone. And I don't think 47 seconds is reasonable in many airports, but don't take a bag. It's a pain.
Yeah.
And also, you then got to move the thing, because the way we travel, when you pack light, you can move around. And I landed in Sofia in Bulgaria summer before last. Had a look on Google Maps, and it was 3 miles to the hotel. I thought, I'll just walk. And I've never been here before. I've been sitting on this plane all morning. My legs are stiff. I'm just going to walk. It was great.
Yeah.
You can't do that with a big bag. Well,
and with a big bag too, you as soon as you're dragging over cobblestones in Europe, you get to a room that's very, very small in Europe or Asia, and you open up this big bag and it takes up half your room. There's just so many things I hate about it. And now to get back on topic a little bit with packing, what I hear people is they say, well, I need there's just no way I can do that. I need all this stuff. You don't need all that stuff. You do not need all that stuff. I dress very nicely when I travel. I pack very light. I still have everything I need. And absolute worst case, you get there and you need something, you go buy it.
Yeah. And the toiletries thing, you can buy all the toiletries you want for $50. It's a hell of a lot cheaper just to buy the toiletries and throw them out at the end of the week than to take a bag because you want special conditioner or whatever it is.
And you can transition stuff into little tiny containers that'll last the week. You know, you use little cologne samples or perfume samples. You do not need all that stuff now. So the question you asked me is what are my initial steps? My initial steps are what bags am I going to bring? So generally when I travel, unless it's something incredibly short, I bring a roller bag, a personal item that I can put under the seat in front of me, like a little backpack or a little bag. And then generally if I'm somewhere like Europe or Asia where I'm doing a lot of walking, I have some sort of little crossbody man satchel thing that I can put my phone in, my wallet in, I can zip it up, and I don't have to worry about someone pickpocketing me or jacking with me. But I pack that into one of my other bags. So I look at, and I have a couple different things. I have a hard-sided Toomey, which is kind of like a Rimowa that I use for most of my trips as a roller bag. I love it because it is a hard bag, so you don't have to worry about a zipper breaking because it's got a clasp that actually clasps. And a zipper breaks on your bag somewhere, then you're going to have to go buy another bag or try to find a bag. And sometimes you don't have that option. You're going to end up duct taping the thing shut to try to get home. The other thing I like about that bag is that it locks with a combination. And so I can use it almost like a little safe in my room. People don't. There's little safes in hotel rooms, but everybody that works in a hotel has a way to get in that safe. So it really only helps you if somebody breaks into your room that's not part of the hotel and can't get in it. But if you're the people cleaning your room or some maintenance person, they can get into those safes. They have little codes and stuff that work on all of them, and they can get in the safes. So what I like to do is lock my stuff up in my roller bag, and I just think it's very unlikely that the maid is going to come in and steal my roller bag. What's going to happen is she's going to go rifle through all my stuff and maybe take out some money or take a watch or something. But I just think it's unlikely. So I like that bag for that. The downside to those hard-sided bags is, number one, they're really expensive. They're aluminum, but they're way more expensive than another type of bag. And the other downside to them is they're heavy, even though they're aluminum. So if you're flying like a budget European or Asian Airways, they might take, just the bag itself might take half your weight cost. So if I'm flying some strange airline that I don't have status with that's going to weigh my bag, then I'll bring something a lot lighter. So that's the first thing I do, is kind of figure out which roller bag I'm going to take, and then I move on there from what personal item am I going to take. A little backpack? Am I going to take just a bigger like crossbody bag, or what am I going to do with that? And I look for bags, generally like a backpack that has the little slip thing that will slip over my handles, so I don't have it falling off and stuff when I'm trying to go down through the airport. So it's kind of a system.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Just have a bag that basically has all your stuff in, and then a little one that you have with your personal items goes under the seat in front. Yeah.
Yeah, that's got your passport, your headphones, a book, maybe some toiletries if you need it on the plane, your eye cover or whatever you need, and have all that stuff that's easy to get in your little personal item, and then have everything else that you don't need until you actually get to the hotel in your other bag.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. The only thing I have is I have a really smart backpack. Not like a backpack. I'm not going to find myself. It doesn't have tassels hanging off it. It's a kind of smart, executive-looking backpack that I like to travel with as well. But I'm the same. You take either a small roller or a small backpack, and then I have a little cross-body satchel thing with all my stuff in. Actually, by the way, here's a little top tip. In your little satchel, take a pair of headphones with a cable. Because when you get on the plane, you can't use the in-flight entertainment until they decide to give you headphones. But as soon as I get on the plane, I plug my... So even if you have a wireless set, take a pair of cable headphones as well.
Or like the ones with it, like I'm using right now. I use Bose noise canceling headphones, but they actually come with a cable, and you can plug it in, or you can use it wirelessly, because a lot of the planes now have Bluetooth way that you can connect your headphones to the Bluetooth, but it almost never works. Like it literally almost never works. So like either have an emergency little pair like you said, and just get it when they walk down and they hand them out, just grab one and throw it in your bag so you have it, or have something else that can plug in.
Yeah, because
I think that's good. I think that's good advice.
I mean, man, traveling in Canada in winter, everything's delayed. When you push back, you then go and queue up to get de-iced.
Denver's the same way. It takes forever.
Yeah, it takes forever to take off in winter. I flew back from Toronto to BC, I don't know, a few weeks ago, a month ago, and I got through an episode and a half of the series I was watching before takeoff. Obviously, the people around me couldn't watch anything, so yeah, throw in something that will work with the in-flight entertainment. So that's bags. In terms of where you put stuff, I think I always try and put the things that I know I'm going to need to take out for the scanners somewhere really handy. So I either have everything that's going to need to come out for the scanners, which is laptops, liquids, anything like that. I try and have it in my little satchel thing. I don't know how to describe this bag, but I have it somewhere handy. And ditto boarding pass and passport, because the amount of times you're standing behind someone and they put their bag out ready for the scanner and they're fishing around to look for their toiletries or their laptops. So always think about what having everything to hand, and then your big bag that's just got your clothes and stuff in, you just throw through the scanner and everything else just whips out easily. Yeah,
and I agree. It's nice to have things to whip out easily.
When requested by
TSA. I rarely travel with a laptop. The weight of it, and I'm always worried someone's going to steal it or I'm going to drop it. I generally do stuff off my phone. If I have some sort of Teams meeting or Zoom meeting, I do off my phone. And then I do write, kind of, as a hobby sometimes. And I actually bring like a nice leather notebook, a small notebook with a pen, and it will never break, and I don't have to take it out to get security. But I know some people's jobs, they have to have a laptop with them because they've got big spreadsheets and stuff like that. I don't have to do that for mine. And then I'm always worried I'm going to lose a bunch of pictures and stuff if my laptop gets messed up.
I get that. I just always have a laptop, so but I keep it handy. That's the key.
Yes. luckily, we generally don't have to take our toiletries out. Some countries still make you do it, but very, very rarely anymore. So that's not quite a thing. But I keep my toiletries in my little bag too. But part of that is also so if I'm on the plane and I decide like I really want to brush my teeth, or I really want to whatever it is in my bag, I can just get up and go do it in the bathroom, and I don't have to take my thing out of the overhead and start digging through it. That just pisses everybody off.
Yeah, it's really nice just an hour before landing to go and brush your teeth. So I'm with you on that.
Yes.
So we've done bags. We've done a little bit on how to organise your bags. Covered packing list a little bit. Actually, I forgot to mention one top thing on the packing list. Someone said to me a few years ago, if you've got a credit card with a decent credit limit and a passport from a Western country, you can probably live with losing everything else. And that really took a lot of the stress out of packing for me. I just think, like, in order of priority, I got my passport, I got a credit card, number 2, I've got my laptop, number 3. I'm pretty golden. I can buy jeans and shoes.
And I've got a couple thoughts on that. One, Zara is really good.
What is?
Zara. It's a European clothing company that are these big stores. It's kind of like H&M, but they're all over Europe and they're over Asia. There's even one in Denver. Zara, you can get really nice looking clothes for very, very cheap. If you get someplace you don't have something, Zara is a perfect place to go. I took my son to Mexico City last summer, and he actually does a pretty good job of packing, and I've never packed for my kids. I want them to kind of figure that out on their own. So I just kind of say, hey, make sure you have this, this, and this. Well, I said, hey, we're going to some like Michelin star restaurants. Make sure you have a nice shirt. So he brought like a nice like t-shirt with like graphics all over it, and
it's not quite what you had in mind.
And I was like, hey, you at least need a shirt with a collar on it. We went to Zara. He picked out a black polo shirt. It was like $15 or $20, and we bought it, and he wore it for the dinners, and it was just fine.
Yeah. And if you suddenly realise that you're too informally dressed, or you don't have something like you say, just go and buy it. It's still cheaper than checking a bag, almost certainly.
Yes, exactly. And my other, like you mentioned, jeans. My other story is that I actually one of my lessons I learned is I try to have if I'm so short of a trip that I only have one pair of jeans, I make sure they're button fly.
I remember you talking about this on one of the previous episodes.
So I was flying to Jersey, which is a little country between England and France.
Okay.
You don't call it.
It's not a country. It doesn't matter. But just if people are listening,
what do you call it? An autonomous?
I think it's an autonomous territory or something like that. But it's not a country. It doesn't have an MP in British Parliament, but it's subject to British.
Yeah.
No one knows. It's a tax fiddle. But anyway,
they have their own money.
It's a way for people not to pay much tax. I know that. So,
and you know who's from Jersey? Who the most famous like celebrity from Jersey is?
Who's from Jersey? The guy that played Superman, Henry.
Yes.
Henry, what's his name? Torville.
Cavill or something.
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
Yes. Well, so a funny thing about him too is I was on the plane and I sat by. There's a whole group there that was part of the Jersey Zoo, and it was a prop plane. I was flying from London to Jersey.
Yeah, it's a little plane, that thing.
A little plane, and they were telling me what a great guy he is because he does all this like charitable work on Jersey that he doesn't really get a lot of publicity for. He does a lot of stuff for the zoo, and he's like this. He's just a really, really nice guy. So I've always kind of remember that when I see him, or when I see him on stuff that they said how great he was. But I'm on Jersey. I'm on this little prop plane to Jersey, and I was literally going for like 2 days. So I've got one pair of jeans and I'm wearing them. I go to the bathroom I unzip my jeans and my zipper completely disintegrates. And I was like, I don't have any other jeans. I didn't have any other pants. They were my only pants. And I had packed incredibly light because I was on this little tiny prop plane. So I only had like a little tiny backpack. well, I get to Jersey, and it's not a shopper's paradise. Like,
Jersey.
Jersey's not a shopper's paradise. And I ended up getting like a safety pin and like kind of putting it through my pants so it's not like wide open when I'm walking around Jersey. And ever since then, I either bring 2 pairs of jeans or I bring button fly jeans that aren't going to break. It's kind of like your candle versus your flashlight.
You sound like
zippers.
You sound like a 70s punk with it.
I know, like with my
held together with pins.
With the safety pin through my ear. But it's that kind of stuff where you there's certain things that you need or you are really important to you that if you don't, like, because I live in Denver and it's super dry, I'm always using chapstick. And if I don't have chapstick, I start panicking, like absolutely panicking. I just feel like my lips are going to dry out and crack and I'm just going to like bleed all over, like, because Denver's so dry. So when I travel, I always have 2 or 3 things of chapstick because I don't want to be someplace where I can't buy a chapstick. And some places you're at, you just never know what they're going to have.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I mean,
do you have those things?
No, I mean, I have no hair, so maintaining having no hair requires some thought. I either take some electric clippers or I buy a razor, cheap disposable razor. But I mean, just quickly talking about packing light, I wonder if people are listening and think, well, how do you pack light? And most of my trips are, say, a week. And just one key thing I would say is check the weather forecast. If you're going somewhere that isn't freezing cold, I will take probably 2 pairs of pants, maybe 3, depending on whether I need to look smart, 7 pairs of boxers, 7 t-shirts, and 7 pairs of socks, and a change of shoes, and some workout shorts, and that's it. Yeah. And
that's probably more than I take.
Well, I like to have a t-shirt for each day, and especially if I'm most of my travel coincides with work. It's not often I just kind of travel for the sake of it, so I'm always conscious of that. But you can double up things. Like, I used to take separate workout gear, and then I realized that actually at the end of the day, which is when I generally work out, I can just wear the t-shirt I've been wearing all day.
You just shower after.
Yeah, exactly. So just take a pair of pants, socks, and t-shirt for each day, a couple of pairs of pants, a couple of sweaters. You're golden. You don't need much more than that.
And I'm a huge fan of merino wool. So merino wool can be a little expensive to buy things made out of it, but it's not like a heavy wool like people think of as wool. It's a very thin. You can wear it in the summer depending on the weight. And merino wool is perfect for travel. So basically, when I travel, I bring 2 pairs of boxers and 2 pairs of socks. And I might bring 2 pairs of high socks and 1 pair of like low socks to work out. And then I wash them in the shower and they dry super fast. Merino doesn't get odors the way like cotton does. It dries really quickly because you can fill up a half of a carry-on with socks and underwear.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, they take up a ton of space.
I just hate washing when I'm away. I have such a beef about it. I really don't like washing stuff while I'm away. In October, I went to Europe for 12 days and had a fresh change of clothes for every day and still took a roll-on suitcase, which I was pretty proud of.
Yeah, that is good. Sweaters are great. Merino wool sweaters because you can wash them. And then layer, so you can wear a t-shirt and then a sweater. If you're going to bring a sport coat or a coat, wear it on the plane. You don't have to pack it. I generally fly with a sport coat on or a blazer, depending on what term you want to use. And I don't pack it. I wear it, and then I hang it up in the hotel. And if I go to nice dinner, I put it on, and then when I fly back, I wear it again. And the airline, if you're wearing a nice coat, they will hang it up in their little closet for you, so you don't have to sit and try to sleep in it on a long flight.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so pack light. So, I mean, I'm really impressed at how light you're going on clothes.
Thank you. I go very light. I'm more into fashion than you are, so I like things that, because I like to pack light, everything I have is usually pretty nice because I don't have that many of them. So everything I touch when I'm traveling is of really high quality. It's kind of, there's that military thing, you roll, you don't fold. So if you fold, it takes up way more room. You roll things really tight into like kind of tubes. You can fit way, way more in a bag than if you try to fold stuff and like smush it down. And people do stuff like they get those plastic bags and then and you use like a pump and all that stuff. And I just, it's worked forever in the military to roll stuff. I just do that because I don't want to mess with a pump that's going to break and a bunch of other stuff to try to take the air out of things.
Well, then you got to fit the pump in. You might as well just not have bothered.
That's right. I don't want to go through I don't want to go through security and they're like, what is this pump for? I feel like it's kind of embarrassing to try to explain.
Yeah, exactly. I know what this pump is for, but what's this other one for?
Yeah, what's this other one for? Yeah, exactly. Now, I'll tell you, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but the biggest problem I've noticed with trying to pack light is shoes. Shoes take up so much space, and if you want a bunch of different pairs of shoes, you can completely fill up your luggage.
Yeah, I mean, as you've already mentioned, not even subtly, just come out and killed me straight out. I'm not as fashionable as you, but yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I generally take a pair of workout shoes and then a smartish pair of kind of trainer formalist shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I generally on a plane I wear some sort of trainer type shoes. If I'm doing something really nice, I might wear a pair of like leather dress shoes, but rarely. Usually I wear a pair of trainer type on the plane. And then in my luggage I have a kind of a dual purpose like an athletic shoe, but not like crappy gym shoes, but something that actually looks nice. It's a good brand. And I use that for walking around during the day and going and doing things. And then I can also wear it for working out. So I'm not having and then that eliminates another pair of shoes. Like you have a really nice pair of athletic shoes that you can wear to out shopping or walking around or doing whatever. You don't really need a pair of like old falling apart Adidas that you also need. You can wear your other shoes for the same thing.
Yeah.
And then if it's a trip that's kind of a beachy trip, a really hot trip, I have a pair of sandals, but sandals that kind of collapse into nothing, and you put them side by side in like off to the side of your bag, and they take up almost no space. And then with my shoes, my more athletic shoes I wear every day, I have them full of my merino underwear and my merino socks. So I jam them in the shoes. I don't put empty shoes in my bag. They have stuff in it, and that saves you a lot of space too.
That's a really good tip. Yeah, and actually now I think about it, if I go on a beach trip, I generally just buy a pair of flip-flops for $5 on the first day.
Yeah, and you can do that, and you can leave them, or if they break, it's not a big deal. But shoes are a big problem. I know especially for a lot of women, it's a huge problem. But because they want to have so much stuff when it comes to like I need like heels and I need this and I need that. But you can really pare it down or get things that kind of fit multiple purposes, and you really don't need a million pairs.
And it's amazing when you pack light how little you miss stuff.
Yes,
and it's good discipline and it's good practice to go, oh, I really thought I'd miss all this stuff, but actually every night I felt nice. I had a nice outfit to wear, and it's a lot easier for me with no hair and not much interest in fashion. But even so, having, even when traveling with women, I feel like they, I've often traveled with people who travel pretty light and they still look nice every evening. So it can be done. It just requires a bit of thought.
And you look nice. I don't mean that you're not like fashion.
No.
I mean you're not super into fashion and brands and stuff like that. But you always dress smart and you always look nice.
You're very kind.
So I don't mean to say thank you. I mean you're British. You have to look the part.
Yeah, I mean it's the kind of the minimum if you're British is white tie for dinner. So I'll generally pack a dinner jacket, white bow tie, starch for the shirt, smart shiny leather shoes, boot polish, regimental tie.
Exactly.
I mean that's kind of it's a bare minimum, really, I would say.
Yeah, kind of like when Winston Churchill went to the White House without a suit on, and nobody complained back then during World War II. Just
Yeah,
you know,
how
when
times have changed, hey?
yeah, exactly.
Elon
Exactly.
Musk doesn't need a suit, but Vladimir Zelensky does, so it's no one's quite sure of the dress code right now.
And Winston Churchill didn't either, and FDR would never publicly shamed him at the White House for not wearing a suit during a war. But
I think
different times, I guess.
I think the White House occupant was a little more dignified in FDR's times. But no, Churchill apparently every night when he was in his house in Chartwell in Kent, he dressed for dinner, which in traditional English parlance means you wear black tie or white tie. So incredibly formal. So him and his wife would dress for dinner every night, which I love. Fish and chips sitting on a wall. I love a takeout. It would drive me insane, but something about that makes me happy.
Yeah, it makes me happy too. I love that stuff. I love when people look like they put effort into something. Going back a little bit, you can buy anything as long as you have a credit card, basically some cash. I always have cash with me too. I never just travel with my credit card. I always have not a massive amount of cash, but I always at least have enough cash that if my credit card gets stolen or doesn't work, that I could survive the time I'm there with food and things with my cash. So I always have that. I always have cash to tip. Nothing's worse than, you at the airport lounge and you get a drink, or you're somewhere and someone holds your hand out and you dig through your wallet and all you got is like huge bills and you're like, sorry. Like, so
yeah, you don't want to be caught with only a 50.
Yeah. And you just don't want to look like a jerk. So I actually went to the bank last year and I got $101 bills. And after I left the strip club, no, I'm just kidding. I put them in my safe, and then before every trip, I go through and I grab some of them to have, and they're amazing how long they last. But just get $100 of $1 bills, have them in your bag, either in your little carry-on or your wallet, and then you can tip places, because some places, like depending on the culture, like they want to walk you to your room, or you order something from the hotel and they show up and you don't want to just be the jerk that doesn't throw them $1.
Yeah.
I try to do that. Medicine is something that you always want to pack that you can't assume you can buy. In some countries, some medicine's different. So I would recommend, like, let's say you're on some sort of like antidepressant, really Google what the country allows into that country, because some places that they consider those like really hard drugs and you want to have it in a prescription bottle. I tend to take my medicine. I just kind of like, okay, I'm there for 7 days, so I'm going to take 7 vitamins. I'm going to take 7 of whatever pill, and I just kind of mix it on all thing. But you need to be careful in certain countries when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and American dosages are strong. They're really high dosage. I sometimes struggle to sleep a little bit, so I occasionally take melatonin. In America, there's enough to knock out an elephant. When I buy sleeping pills in America, I kind of have to cut them into about tenths with a razor blade. They're so strong. It probably
is it, and then you like, and then you snip it, or what do you do?
Yeah, exactly. So you grind it up, put it on a mirror or a stripper's backside, and then just sniff away. Yeah.
All your dreams are made. What's that Oasis song? All your dreams are made with a razor
when you change to the mirror of a razor blade. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good Oasis song.
They're all good.
They are all good. Yeah, that's something that we don't agree with everything, but we both really love Oasis.
I looked into tickets for the reunion tour, but it was just ridiculous. It was stupid.
In England?
No, in North America. Because, they're doing 6 dates. I'm not even sure they're going to make it that far. They hate each other so much. They're going to fall out before they get there. But
I've seen them twice in concert back in the day. So it's not like this emergency of like, oh my God, I've never seen this band and they're reforming. It's like, oh my God, this is my only chance to see Led Zeppelin. It's not like that, but it would be a really great show. Now, is it we're like way off topic, but is it the whole original band or is it just the brothers?
I think it's the brothers and Bonehead, the guitarist.
Yeah.
And no one really cares about the other ones. Whoever I think Noel Gallagher said publicly, drummers are just people who hit things for a living, so I don't think he's worried about and I play the drums as well. I took that to heart, but yeah.
Maybe you'll be at the concert and the drummer will pass out like Keith Moon did with the Who, and they'll be like, "Is there a drummer in the audience?"
Well, sometimes before I go and see bands, I do practice a few of their songs because I have it in the back of my head. It goes out in the PA.
That's awesome.
No, but I had a look at it. It was insane. It was just ridiculous. It was $500 a ticket, plus hotels, plus flight. I'm not paying $5,000 to go to a concert for two people. That's just, I draw the line.
Yeah. It better be they brought Elvis back from the dead.
Yeah, exactly. We live 4 hours from Vancouver. If it's someone I really like, I'll go to Vancouver. But anything where I've got to get on a plane for a concert, I'm probably out. There's nothing worth that. But no. So anyway, they're all good songs, but we digress.
Any other packing thoughts? I think we've kind of gone through the main stuff we want to talk about.
About the last thing I was going to say is check the weather forecast just before you leave, because again, working on events and things, I've sometimes looked and gone, oh my god, it's going to be freezing, and we're outside. And so I'll throw in like fleecy tights that I can wear underneath my jeans, and everyone else is freezing and their knees are aching from the cold, and I'm okay. Or I remember I went and worked in Mumbai for a week in May, and if anyone's been to Mumbai in May knows 38 Celsius is a cool day. I mean, it's so hot and so humid, it's just completely insane. And I literally didn't even take a sweater or a pair of trousers. So, just check the weather forecast and pack accordingly. Because often you can realize, I'm going to freeze. I need to throw some long underwear in, or actually it's going to be super hot. I'll take one sweater just in case for the evenings.
Yeah, I think that's good. I just thought of another thing that's actually related to you. My final thought on this.
Where's this going?
Like I talked about having two pairs of jeans. I have two phone chargers or two phone cords generally, because I had one break in an airport lounge one time, and I threw this little hissy fit to myself, and a lady saw me and came up and handed me another one. But that was just really lucky. Another thing that I always travel with is sunglasses. I was actually in North Korea with you, and I don't know if you remember this, but I had one pair of sunglasses with me, and talk about a place that's not a shopper's paradise. And my sunglasses broke in half right across the bridge of them, and it wasn't like I sat on them. I think it was just I don't know if plastic fatigue is a thing, but I think they just kind of were old and they wore out and they just broke. And I had to go for half the trip in North Korea, going to all these monuments in the bright sun without sunglasses on. And there's nowhere to buy a pair of sunglasses. Literally, it's not hey, can we stop at 7-Eleven? I need to buy some sunglasses.
Yeah, you can't just stroll across the street.
Nope. And ever since then, I have two pairs of sunglasses on every trip. And you can buy a pair. You can buy these Ray-Bans that are folding. They're folding Ray-Bans, and they fold into this little tiny case, itty bitty, and then they're hinged and they unfold and fold out, and they're a great kind of emergency pair to always keep in your bag, if something happens to your other ones.
I think that's a good call. I'm with you. I'm a sunglasses. Honestly, unless it's dark, I'm probably wearing sunglasses. Certainly to drive.
Yeah.
So no, I think that's a good shout. I might start doing that. But yeah, that was fun. I mean, I'm just trying to think the next time I got any trips coming up. You've got trips coming up all the time. Now I want to put all these packing tips to use.
Yeah, I do. I have some really fun ones coming up, and I will be packing super light.
Well, let's talk about them when you get back. I feel like I've got some booked in. I can't remember. We'll see. But you've definitely got more than me. I'm kind of envious. But yeah, we'll debrief them when you get back. But yeah, that was fun.